Love that you fuck with me now, cause you know I keep you around, yeah, you know that I mean it.
Hello and welcome to the Jordan Powers Experience. My name is Jordan Powers, and on today's episode 10, I am joined by the Dan Jones, or the Daniel Jones. Dan Jones is an all-around awesome dude. He's super cool, super interesting, a very, very talented adventure photographer. He works around town doing a lot of corporate gigs in architecture photography, and he also does a lot of graphic design work. And he also happened to be my old roommate, which was kind of fun to chat and shoot the shit with him. And yeah, it was. I'm really stoked with this conversation. I hope you guys enjoy it. We got into a lot about his photography career and kind of some of the places he's been taken to because of it, and how he discovered it, as well as we got into galleries and how some of that has been affected by the pandemic, and we also talked about virtual reality, which was super cool. And so yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. We'll just get a quick word from our sponsors, starting with Oakham Cannabis. Oakham Cannabis is a family-run craft producer here in Kelowna BC. They use plenty of environmentally friendly practices to create high THC, high quality bud, and they are finally in BC cannabis stores. So go out to your store, ask for Oakham Smoke 'em, discover, try out their products. I highly recommend it. It's some of my favorite stuff out there, and I'm super stoked that they're now out on the market, and I'm still hoping to have G-Baby come on soon and chat about Oakham and kind of promote them a little bit, so stay tuned for that. My second sponsor is Garnish Barware. Garnish Barware is trusted behind some of Canada's busiest cocktail bars. They do custom engraved cocktail kits and barware. I've got tons of cool stuff that you guys have seen before in the past from my man Griffin. He laser engraves it all here in Kelowna, BC. So check out www.garnishbarware.com. Grab your own cocktail kit. Start whipping it up. You know, we're getting out of the summer here, but drinks flow all year round. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, without wasting any more of your time, I hope you enjoy my conversation with the Dan Jones. Mike. Okay. Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Sup, dude?
What's up, man? How's it going?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Not too bad.
Are you the Dan Jones?
I prefer the Daniel Jones.
I'm sorry. My bad. The Dan Jones.
Oh, man. That's such a weird thing. I feel it's like that's become a joke. It's my Instagram handle, right? Yeah. But it was the only thing I could think of at the time. I have such a common first and last name, so I was going as Daniel Jones for my photography stuff. And then, yeah, I couldn't get a website with anything else, Dan Jones or Daniel Jones Photography, so I just went the Daniel Jones. One of my friends had done that with their Instagram, and now I just feel like it's not pompous in any way. I feel like even sometimes when people ask me that, I'm like, I'll joke and be like, yeah, I'm the Daniel Jones. Like, do I sound like do I have a giant ego or what?
No, I mean, I would embrace it because you do come across as a joke, and honestly, you are the Daniel Jones. You're the one and only.
I'm trying. I'm doing my best.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here, my man. Let's get this cheers right on the bat.
Let's do this, man. Cheers.
Boo. To the bartender. Purple Rain, man, that is making a consistent appearance on the Jordan Powers Experience, and they're not my sponsor by any means, but it's a good beer.
B&A makes some real good beer, and this is one of my favorite ones for sure. I love a good sour ale, but
I'm trying out the Blue Frog Tropic Vice, and it tastes like a breakfast beer, so it's all right.
Not like beer,
not like beer. I could have it with pancakes and eggs and in the morning, and a little Sunday hangover beer.
It's like a pop. I like those ones. Like some of the sours are like that too.
Yeah, man. Well, you're a beer enthusiast and a photographer and a designer, graphic designer. What are you all about, the Dan Jones? Tell the audience who you are and how you came to this moment.
I like the way you segued into that.
My segues, I'm getting compliments on them all the time.
I am a beer enthusiast, and I am most of those things, yeah. Let's see. I don't know. Like, what do you wanna touch on? Like, I've done a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Over my life.
Started at what you're doing right now and
Right
how
now.
you got there,
And work backwards.
or just how you got to that point.
So yeah, okay. So like right now, I'm doing freelance photography, and then digital art, and like I started with like a focus on marketing and advertising and stuff like that, and then I do a lot of like digital art, kind of photography fusion, on the side, like with my own personal projects. And I was like, I have tried to push some of my freelance work like in that direction, but yeah, I don't know. Around here, it's a little more just like photography based, like business to business photography based and stuff like that. And yeah, since the pandemic's been even a little more tough for sure. So
Totally, man. Well, yeah, we were roommates for almost 3 years.
yeah.
So I know you really, really well. But
Yeah.
before I ever,
Yeah, it's weird to have like a formal conversation, or
yeah.
it feels more formal to do it this way.
first one
anyways.
we've recorded, probably.
Yeah, that's right. Let's hope we don't get into an argument. Or something like that.
yeah. Didn't have a single argument until the pandemic, and you're forced to live with a person 24/7 for a couple months. You're
Yeah.
definitely gonna butt heads every now and again.
I think that's like a pretty common theme throughout this, like families, people in relationships, people that are roommates and stuff like that, like getting in fights because they got too much time together, man.
Totally.
Like it's funny, yeah, because like we never really argued about anything, and then like we're cooped up in a house for what, like 2 months,
2-3 months, yeah, something like that, and
That's
limited
just-
to where you can go. So we're probably spending more time at the place when we were allowed to leave the house.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like it's just an odd scenario too. Like the world's never I've never seen it like this. You haven't. Like I've been through there was kind of other stuff similar, but like never locked down in your house. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we just ended up talking about politics and other bullshit, and like we got in pretty heated arguments.
Oh,
sometimes,
totally.
right?
And that's not the reason why we're not living together anymore.
No.
All those conversations, they can get heated, but they all came to a point where we were understanding of one another. And, may have disagreed, but that's life at the end of the day.
Yeah, like we in the end we were able to be like, okay, like I understand that we couldn't come to a full agreement during that argument, but at the same time I see your point of view,
And likewise.
and it's fine. But some of them got pretty heated, right?
Yeah,
like we got angry at each other, and we were both like, okay. Like you called one off one time. And
I was gonna say it was 1-1. It was 1-1.
Conversation on one time. And then like once you walk away and breathe a little bit, and it's like, oh yeah, you know what? I don't know what the fuck are we.
Why I was so passionate.
Why are we so like angry about that?
Totally.
But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say is, before I moved in with you, I was like a giant fan of your photography and your work around town. Whenever you came into the film factory, it was always a pleasure to help you out and see what you were up to.
Yeah.
And your travel photography and like lifestyle photography is what really I was attracted to in the first place when it came to your work.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, we segued nicely back. You're reeling me in, dude.
Episode 10, baby. We're getting here.
Yeah. I have like legit kind of ADD, so I need that sometimes. It's active. So back to the photography thing. Yeah, I guess that's probably what started getting me some attention, and it was what I went into it with, like with that intention of getting into, kind of action sports, active lifestyle stuff. Like you always kind of gravitate towards the things that you're more passionate about and stuff. So that's definitely what I was doing with that. Like I ended up, well, I kind of started that business by a bit of a mistake, right? Like I worked for Disney Online Studios before that, which was like Club Penguin here in town, as an illustrator and a marketer. And I spent 5 years doing that. It was like wicked creative job. But I felt like at the end of it, I was like, man, I just sat at a computer and like, even though it was so creative and like really demanding, and we did like worked on all kinds of cool projects, art projects and stuff like that, I just felt like I spent 5 years like staring at a computer kind of deal. So I had this idea to kind of break away from it, and I had gone on a trip to Southeast Asia, and I just had this like little point and shoot Canon, like a Canon PowerShot. And I took it on that trip because I just wanted to like document it. And I started kind of getting really, I'm always like really curious about visual stuff, right? So I just started taking like some more artsy photos and stuff like that, you know, like just stuff that you don't normally see here. Like there it was like visual candy everywhere because it was so different from anything. I'd never really traveled overseas during that time. So that was what like spawned like the interest in photography. And then I started thinking about that like quite a bit while I was still at Disney. And I was just kind of like daydreaming about being away from the computer and like shooting, you know, just being out in the real world kind of thing, and then shooting those photos. At the time, I wasn't thinking about what kind of time it was going to take to come back and edit those after you shot.
Right.
Yeah,
the editing is always difficult.
Yeah, after I shot, or after I went on that trip, you know, I started getting into, or I started reviewing like some of those photos and like getting really interested. I was like, whoa, I captured some pretty cool stuff, and like even a few of those photos ended up being some of my print art pieces, which I guess we'll talk about.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that is you have some beautiful prints for sale from that trip, and like it's amazing that was some of your first like work that you really took seriously. And where can people go to find your work right now and buy some of your prints? And we'll try to put some of the prints up on the podcast as well. But
sure. So, I mean, the funny thing is that I wasn't taking it seriously. Like I had just brought it to kind of document going on a trip, right? And it wasn't until afterwards, like, you know, like some of the ones I just looked through, I was like, oh, you know, we just remember that there's like water buffalo across the road from the place we stayed at and things like that. But then I started just realizing like there was some real like gold there, kind of, you know, a few of the shots, there's one of that kid like throwing up the peace sign.
My favorite one that you've got.
So like that photo didn't look like that, like the way it looks now in the print, in the print form. It went through like a lot of
Photoshop work and edits.
Yeah. But when I saw it, like when I was walking through and I went back and saw it, I was like, damn, that's a cool photo. It has like a lot of potential. It needs a bit of work, but and I started finding a few in that batch like that, and then I just started kind of using my Photoshop talents and stuff like that, or what I'd learned in Photoshop to doctor it to make it look like a much more impactful, powerful photo. But like that was a cool experience even in itself. Like so my sister does some like philanthropy work in Cambodia. She helps. She's a teacher in Singapore, but she goes over to Cambodia once a year, and she would help the teachers there like develop their learning programs, because it's like third world. So she was bringing kind of first world knowledge to them and like kind of helping them build their learning structures, I guess. Mm-hmm. I hope I've described that properly for her sake, but it was something close to that anyways. And she was just volunteering a bit there. So we ended up getting to go to this school, like off the beaten path in Cambodia. Where was it? Phnom Penh. So like, if you're a tourist, you'd never see this spot, right? It was a Cambodian Canadian woman that started this school by the dump for these kids that worked in the dump. Like they just sifted through garbage to try and find recyclables or whatever they could get to make a bit of money. So this woman built this school there, and then they were kind of like having to bribe the kids' families because that's their job. Like they'd send the kids out to sift through garbage to make money for the family. So they started kind of bribing the families with like a bag of rice or food or whatever to
let their kids go to
let
school.
their kids go to school.
Wow.
It started with like half days. So yeah. So this was the original school by the dump. They've since built like a bunch of other school structures, which we went and visited. And there was they built some housing for some of the kids that were like displaced from their families, or what do they call that? Like
refugees, or
no, not refugees. Yeah, I mean it was just for housing for kids that
like affordable housing.
Orphanage.
Oh, orphanage. Oh, okay, yeah.
For orphans. Yeah,
I see.
Yeah, so kids that didn't have parents.
Right.
Yeah, they built these like homes for them. Essentially, we visited that place as well too. Anyways, this turned into a long story, but
that's the point of long form podcast. We're good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We just she brought us there to this school, and it's crazy. Like the dump is like right there, man, and like they're starting to cover some of it up when we were there, so like put plastic over it. But the school is like right beside it, and you're just like, wow, this is you don't see stuff like that around here.
Well, that's what's so amazing about photography, and like even when I first started, I'd walk around Kelowna and the Okanagan, and it's no secret how beautiful and unique this place is. But you stay here for too long as a photographer and an artist, and you're privileged to forget how beautiful and how unique it is.
Man.
And so stepping outside of your home and your region and traveling and taking your camera with you and being provided with new perspectives is sometimes some of the best catalyst for new work and new art.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Like you get like almost a little bit complacent too.
Mm-hmm.
You just get so used to it. And I've been trying to forget some of that lately. Like I've just been posting up some mountain bike stuff on Instagram.
Yeah, it's been great.
Like to me, it's just a normal day.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I've been getting some good feedback from people about it. But yeah, it's just a couple of friends, and like we just go out riding. I just shot a few snaps and edited them. But yeah, you forget that that's not normal for everybody, right? And like that this is a stunningly beautiful area, but like you were born and raised here, right? So
I moved here when I was 11, so more formative years here, but yeah.
Yeah. So I've been here, I don't know, 18 years or something like that now, and I promised myself, I was like, I'm never going to take this place for granted. It's
inevitable. You see the same thing every day when you wake up.
It just happens. So, I was just gonna finish quickly like the end of that story, but they relate to each other. Like I'd never been overseas at that point in time, so like I was just like snapping photos of everything. And so when we got to that school by the dump, there was just like kids reacting to us. Like they don't see a lot of white people, right? And so it was me and my whole family and stuff. They don't see a lot of visitors to begin with, but like this was different, right? It was just, we were kind of a little bit disruptive, but at the same time, yeah, it was okay. So there was a bunch of kids. I'll tell you another funny story about my tattoos right after that. And this was just like their reaction to us,
Yeah.
But yeah, we had just arrived there, went through these gates and stuff like that, and I was like just kind of taking photos of the place, like not really thinking too much about artsy stuff or anything like that. And I just turned around, and there's that kid, and he just kind of looks. He's just kind of standing there, like looking at me, and then he just threw that peace sign up. Click. He turned around, like I said something to him or something. I might have even showed him the photo, and then he just took off. And
could you speak their language at all? Or
No. So they do learn like English. So yeah, it's pretty well known in, I think, in a lot of like third world countries that it's like, it will benefit you to
learn English.
be able to either talk to tourists or whatever job that you can move towards.
Right.
It's in your best interest to learn English, which is pretty cool. Like those
Totally.
kids speak Khmer.
Okay.
Native Cambodian. I'm sure they speak a lot of different
Yeah,
languages.
yeah.
There's probably a bunch of different dialects, but yeah. So we didn't say much. Like a lot of times I would just kind of, show them the photos that I took of them or whatever. They weren't seeing digital cameras, all that. These kids anyways, like they're, pretty poor, man.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was just cool. I didn't really even think about that moment at all. And then, I think maybe 6 months later when I went back, like really combing through, that ended up being one that I was like, that's cool. I need to work through that. And like now, I've printed it pretty large format, 30 by 46 or something like that.
And it's all metal. On metal, yeah.
Yeah. Like
that's so cool.
A substrate metal. I just kind of stumbled across that.
So why metal? Why did you pick metal?
It was a bit of a fluke, and I saw another photographer doing it. Jeremy Jalapeno.
Okay. Oh yeah. I know his Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah.
He gave us the calendar of men in bathtubs, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I met him on Gyro Beach one time.
Yeah. Good dude, man. Good photographer too. So I'd been printing. I was just experimenting with printing this stuff, like doing art, shows or whatever. Yeah. I got enough stuff together, like over those couple of years. Like that trip was 10 years ago or something like that. But I was, working on some other stuff. Did a few other trips, which you've seen photos of too, like Nicaragua a couple times and things like that. I started to amass enough stuff that I was actually just printing it on, nice photo paper and framing them and doing a few art shows here in town and stuff like that. And I was hanging stuff at the bean scene, and it started to kind of
gain some traction.
It gained quite a bit of momentum in a very short period of time at the bean scene. But Jeremy was in there at the same time. Like, so he was, they have like 5 coffee shops around town. Good coffee too.
Yeah, shout out bean scene.
Yeah, man. I drink that stuff like every day. It's so good. So I was putting my stuff up and he was coming in behind me at a lot of them. So I was leaving those chains up for him or whatever, but he was the one that figured it out. Like, or that I originally saw it on. I actually saw Andrew Lipset did it like years and years ago too. I don't remember if it was exactly the same. But yeah, so he was hanging his stuff up after, and I started looking at it, and like I'd been having some problems with like shipping and stuff like that. I was getting, people out of town asking for prints of stuff, and it was just a pain in the ass. Like you'd either have to get it printed and roll it up in a tube and send it off, and then I'd talk to people and be like, "Hey, where'd you put that photo up?" And they're like, it's in my closet still."
Just rolled up.
Fuck, like,
that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it kind of defeats the purpose, really, right? Because you wanna be stoked that they're stoked, and
totally.
It's like hanging on their wall, and it's like a piece, right? So I was like, that's a problem, right? Like I didn't do anything about it at that time, but that's a problem. And then, other people were asking about the printed frame ones, and it's glass, and like, I don't know. You know me well enough. Like I'm a little bit obsessive compulsive about stuff, and like, so I like always foresee problems, right? And I'm like, I don't want to package stuff up too. It's bad for the environment. Like sending a framed like photo off in glass, and then it could smash a shit. I worked at a delivery place once in my life, so I've seen
You know what goes on
I've
in those
seen what
warehouses.
happened to those packages before. Yeah, so I was like, yeah, so I'm like, that's a problem too. Anyways, I saw Jeremy's stuff, and I'm like, dude, that's mailable, right? Like he was showing me, and like I don't know if he does much more of it anymore. Like he didn't really think much of it, but he was nice enough to give me the contact for the place, and I just started running a few tests.
Nice.
But like it's like it looks nice.
Yeah.
It makes like not any photo, but like it makes a good photo look really nice.
Yeah.
Like, so you get these like really crisp, clean colors. It actually deepens the colors a little bit.
I wouldn't say it has I wouldn't say it has a 3D effect to it, but it feels like it's a little bit more alive. And even when you're like holding it and you're hanging it up in your place, it's like it's got weight to it. Like it's tangible. Like it's like something. It's not just a fucking internet photo anymore. Where can people go and see your work and find it and purchase it?
Right now online.
Yeah. What's the website?
So it's thedanieljones.com.
Cool.
Back to that. And then there's a little tab in the corner that's print.
Sweet.
Or buy prints, I think. And then that'll take you to a slightly different URL, but it's all up on there.
Cool.
Powered by Shopify.
We'll have that in the description below as well.
Great.
Right. Well, down here off the screen. Yeah. It's not going to be. Click below.
Click wherever it is. Yeah. So that's where I've been selling that. I've been like doing my best. I don't know, like those metal prints kind of opened up. It gave me some more ideas, like to start selling stuff online. Because I was like, once I got some of the samples in, I'm like, these are like indestructible, like they're scratch proof, waterproof or weatherproof, very shippable. And I was like, dude, like I can start selling these and sending them places. Yeah. So it kind of spawned some other ideas to start like selling stuff online and going a little bit harder. And I think they look like it was like you said, it does have like some sort in certain photos, like a certain amount of like almost like a 3D look to it. It's not, but it does give it some depth. And you're right. Like there's something to be said for a tangible piece of art.
Totally.
Instead of it just being another Instagram.
It's almost like that Mona Lisa effect where like you like she apparently her eyes follow you throughout the room kind of thing like that. I would describe it similar to that. Speaking on where we can find your art and stuff like that, I'd like to get into some shows that you might have coming up or you have had and how the pandemic affected that. But we're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsors. I'd also like to shout out Dan for doing a little set deck tonight and bringing in these plants.
That's
so
danjonessetdeco.com.
yeah,
not really, but
you're taking over Wolfette Styling's business.
Man, no way.
Yeah, shout out Jade. Nobody can compete with her when it comes to events. So.
She's badass.
Cool. We'll be right back.
Temperature down. I love that you fuck with me now, cause you know I'll keep you around. Yeah, you know that I mean it. Not turning the temperature down. I'm with you when I ain't around. Wanted to get we out. Yeah, you know I mean it. Yeah, you know I mean it. Yeah, you know I mean it. Yeah, you know I mean it.
Gotcha.
Bang. Okay. Well, we're back. Round two.
We're back after a short break.
Yeah. I find it. I was gonna bring this up earlier. Your lifestyle, just to give people context and stuff, is so like extreme and like free. Also, like you're an avid like mountain biker, and you're not just like a fucking average mountain biker. Like you do some crazy shit. I've seen you come back to the place with war wounds and stuff like that, and you have a history.
Got some scar tissue right here.
Exactly. And you have a history in like skateboarding and running your own skateboard company as well over in Ontario, which we can talk about later if you'd like, and snowboarding and stuff. But I was curious because so much of that in yoga, you're very, very active practicer of yoga and like very, very talented when it comes to that. Does your lifestyle supplement your photography and like your hobbies and your lifestyle supplement your photography, or does your photography supplement your lifestyle and your hobbies?
Like complement or supplement?
Supplement, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they definitely like complement each other for sure. Yeah, because it's puts you in unique places and like different perspectives and stuff like that. Like that, I definitely, I just have a real, it's almost obsession. I've looked at it differently, like since I've gotten a bit older than the way I did as a kid, because. And it's probably it is like it's a healthy passion, but I get like obsessed with stuff too, right? Like with stuff like that, like skateboarding and mountain biking, and it comes back to that like a bit of obsessive compulsive like tendencies and stuff like that. But like you have to do that, like skateboarding. You have to try something over and over and over and over again until you finally nail it, right? And then like you get this great set of like this satisfaction, right? This feeling like, oh my God, yeah,
I did it. Yeah.
Like that's one of the coolest. It's flow state. Like that's what they're calling it now. That's
right.
Like the, I don't know if it's scientific, but it's like definitely the terminology that they're putting around that, and it can be like applied to so many different things. Like they are applying it to art and design and
even productivity like, in the office and stuff.
Yeah. Like all a form of it, like same as getting in the zone, right? And those sports all require you to do that. Like they require a massive amount of focus and like tenacity and just the will to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying, right? Like you can apply that to business. After a year like this, like a lot of people, myself included, it's like it's frustrating, man. Like you'd be ready to give up, but if you do, you won't push through. Like you won't land that trick, or you won't, you won't. Some of it's just a mental struggle, like with mountain biking. It's like that's scary as hell. I've never done something like that. I think I have the abilities. Like I'm gonna push through and try. So yeah, I definitely 100% think that they complement each other in that way. And then like creativity too, right? Like the skateboarding is a massively creative sport, right? Like like you mentioned, I had a skateboard company a while back. This is 20 years ago or something like that, back in Ontario. It's funny because like back in Ontario, that's the way people know me. Out here, they know me differently.
East Coast, West Coast reputation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But just like the art on skateboards, growing up, like that's what I grew up with. That was my influence. Like in like math class and stuff like that, I'd be like looking at Thrasher magazines at all the graphics and just doodling. Like a lot of my original art interest was drawing, pencil drawing, painting, and stuff like that. Wasn't digital based, and like the skateboard graphics was like skateboard graphics, surf graphics, and stuff like that was like really what I was into.
Yeah.
And yeah, like they influence each other. Like the act of skateboarding. So you've got the art and stuff like that on the skateboard decks, which is like pretty forward thinking. It was pretty edgy, just different, really creative. And then the actual act of skateboarding, super creative as well. Like the way people are, a lot of those dudes have more talent in their feet than the average person does in their whole body. It's freaking crazy, man. They look at obstacles and like just the outdoor, like the average person's like, I'm gonna sit there and have lunch, and and a skateboarder is like, I'm gonna nose grind that and kick flip out, or
They just see
nollie
it
flip
differently.
out, or whatever. They just see it differently. It's like, to them, those like pieces of concrete and stuff like that, or it's a skateboard park, or like something to do something. So it's like that's creative brain as well too. Like, and just the evolution of those tricks over the years and stuff like that. Like, yeah, you know, when I first started out, I remember visually seeing the first kickflip, and I was like, what the fuck? What is that? You know, like, yeah, and then you couldn't fathom that like 10 years later, someone was going to be doing that kickflip to like a board slide or whatever. Right. So yeah, they've all like, amalgamated together and like complemented each other over years and influenced. It's influenced my personal style of artwork and stuff like that. I don't know if it's for the better because it doesn't appeal to everybody. But
So since your prints are so indestructible and legit, if you put 2 sets of trucks and some wheels on the bottom of one of your prints, could you kickflip it?
Next episode. No, that's like some sort of YouTube video. You probably could. I wouldn't look. You wouldn't want to hang it up afterwards.
You should do that as a publicity stunt, or like somebody can buy the one print that was kickflipped by Dan Jones.
Yeah, it's just that. I don't even know if I can do a kickflip anymore, to be honest with you.
Well, at your next show, maybe we'll your next showing of photography, we'll have you kickflip one of your prints.
Oh, they're like bendy. I don't know if it would work. I'm probably not the guy to do it these days. I'll like blow my ankle up or something like that. But somebody could do it.
There you go. So speaking of your prints and shows and stuff like that, how has the whole kind of print scene been, and like having shows and showcasing your photography over the past like year and a half since the pandemic started?
The what?
Oh, you haven't heard?
Pandemic.
Yeah. No, there's this virus going around. It's fake, but yeah, it's fake news.
Actually think it's fake?
No.
No, it sucked, man. COVID sucks.
Yeah.
It's, dude, like, I feel like I handled it as well as, like, I don't know, that's posed a lot of problems for a lot of different people, right, in like massive scales. It's definitely, it's been a struggle for sure. Like, it's been inconvenient. I have always like the first 2 months when everyone got locked down, I don't think, and everyone was like kind of a deer in the headlights with that, right? I think.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah. Well,
like,
we thought it was going to be 2 weeks. And then,
it's like, what?
So do you remember
on?
if you like had to cancel shoots that were coming up or
shows?
shows?
Yeah. Okay, so like business wise, my stuff dropped off the face of the planet.
Right.
Like, it just went. At the time, for whatever reason, I was like booking quite a few events, and it's not something like I try and concentrate on, but it was just like Kelowna's small. In some instances, these things just kind of come along and you take them, right? So I had a bunch of events. Some of them were like actually art related as well too. Like art. One of them was a fairly substantial art show or something. But yeah, I remember having a few of those queued up, and it was like coming out of the slower season around here, and it just dropped off. Like, all of a sudden events were just like the hammer came down on events. All those went away, and I was like, oh, this is not good. So like everybody else, went into lockdown, and then you were just trying to navigate from there. But like, I was always like trying to push forward with stuff. Like, I remember, we were sitting around the house, and you had a lot of editing and stuff like that to do. I at that point I was like, well, I was in a bit of shock for a little bit, but I'm going to do something. Like, I'm not just going to sit around and watch Netflix or whatever. So that was when I actually started building that Shopify store to sell prints online. 'Cause up until then I had been doing in-person shows at the Bean Scene. I had queued one up for the Innovation Center here in town. And I was kind of thinking, it's like, oh, like, what's going to happen with these kind of thing, right? Obviously, like, even coffee shops are closed down and stuff like that too. So I was like, I'll build this. I hadn't done the online store. Like, I had put on my website that stuff was available. But I was like, I have time to do this now, so jump in and build that, right?
That was the one side effect of the pandemic that I've noticed with some people is like you had time to finally like focus on your side gig if you so choose, and like there was like time to do shit. And I thought I was gonna edit a short film that I'd been still is on a hard drive forever, and I didn't end up doing it. But like I kept telling myself like this is the time to do it, and a lot of people did. A lot of people got after it, and I pivoted and are pursuing like some of their passions and dreams now. So it's the one positive side, but obviously overall pretty negative, the pandemic.
I'm one of those people that's like, I'm glad I had some of that time, but the after effects have been pretty bad and bad for business as well too. But you're right, like that print stuff and like even the personal work that I was working on was just that. Like it was just side gig. Like I was pretty busy with other people's contract work and stuff like that. So it was definitely good in that sense, right? Like I built that whole online presentation and got everything going on with Shopify and stuff like that, and built an online store that ended up was functioning and stuff like that, and then I could push people to kind of thing. So yeah, super positive in that way. On the flip side, like all the in-person shows, like that stuff was gaining momentum as well, and I felt like that particular medium was just they both fed off each other, right? Like I felt like it was best seen in person. It has that tangible impact in person, and people just seem to be buying more in person rather than online. Like I said, they did feed each other, but like I would sell stuff in person and then kind of post a little Instagram story about it or whatever, and then I'd get some interest online about it. And
seeing that one photo that you have of the monk walking up the stairs and stuff, it's like seeing that on your phone, it's beautiful and it's cool and stuff, but then seeing it as a giant print in a room, it just has a different impact. Like it just means more. It's just like it hits you harder.
That was the first one that I did in that large format, like
right.
That.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was definitely
that's probably your most popular one, right?
I'd say probably
yeah. Dope photo.
Yeah, that's a bunch of different photos, like all mixed together. It's a three photo composite. One was the monk, obviously, and he was just walking in the killing fields in Cambodia, which is like a mass burial grave site. And the other one shot at the temple, the Bayon Temple, in a different city in Cambodia. And then the original sky was like kind of gray and overcast and didn't have much texture to it. And I did just the two photos together at one point in time. And then one day I was shooting something on the west side of Kelowna, and I came out to the lake, and there was this like crazy cloud over the lake, and I shot that separately.
Oh, here in town?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the sky is actually over the lake in Kelowna. And I was like, oh, it's got this like almost like kind of temple like or like triangle shape to it type thing. And I was like, dude, that like perfectly complements the peak of the temple. So I chucked it in there to try it out, and it ended up looking cool. So 3 photos, and then I had to like kind of match all the lighting together and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, the orange and the monk's robes like pops so well also. And, like, it just complements everything else going on in the photo so well.
Yeah. Well, everything else is gray. Everything else is black and white, and then just the monk is like his orange robe or whatever. It makes him kind of pop. So
And so you had
cool.
those pieces and many of your other pieces up in the Innovation Center in Kettle River recently?
They went. So Bean Scene was like was the first like decent sized show that I was doing. I did all 5 of them. It was like gaining some serious momentum. I think I got them. They were out of there pre-COVID. And then I booked the Innovation Center for the following summer. They actually went intermittently back into the Bean Scene a few times as well. And then I booked a big show, and that's when I started doing all those like large formats of like almost all the photos for those guys, because it was such a massive open space. Wanted to kind of utilize that and like get as many in there as I could. So I kind of curated that one separately from any of the other ones. I want to mention the virtual one.
I was just
okay,
putting
okay,
a little,
you're on it.
There, actually, yeah. But I was gonna actually ask you, since we just took the side note there, like how much does the actual space that you're putting the photography in, like, influence your choice of what you're gonna put up, and like you said, you picked bigger pieces and you went out and you invested in bigger pieces for the Innovation Center.
Lots it's something I'd never done before, like curated an art show. The Bean Scene ones I did was just kind of like haphazardly put stuff together, because they were all so different there too, right? So you just needed like a certain amount of pieces, and then you just go there and like be like, okay, this one looks good with here. But like the Innovation Center, I knew what it looked like ahead of time. I knew that there was like one big giant open wall on the 7th floor and stuff like that. So like I really wanted to group like a bunch of stuff together, and like organized artists like would curate like a full body of work for that. And actually, like during the pandemic, ended up talking to like a bunch of people that fine art galleries and stuff like that, because that was another thing I was doing when we were in lockdown. Like I knew important people would have more time on their hands, so I was like phoning around to some of these art galleries. There was one in Whistler, and just trying to learn a little bit more about fine art and stuff like that too. So he was telling me how artists curate these galleries, so I started putting a little more thought into it. So that one, like I took quite a bit of consideration. They didn't want as much like dark stuff, because I have some just darker feeling shots or pieces of work, and it was going to be midsummer, so I wanted to give it a bit more summer vibes. So I started putting some of those like beach scenes together and some of the surf stuff together, so we could put that on the first floor, and then like some of the darker stuff was on the top floor. So I put some thought into it for sure.
Well, that's what people don't realize when you're working with an artist, is it's not like you just, and a photographer, like it's not like you're just taking the photo and then like boom, there's your photo. Like it's the amount of thought and expertise and learning that goes into it.
Yeah.
And then to curate a show, like you can't just stop at the photo. It's so many other things come into play into your mind of how you decide, and that needs to be evolved. It's a skill.
Yeah.
It's a skill, and that's what you're paying for at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, I think some of that comes from like Instagram and stuff like that too, right? Like it's
so easy to take a photo on your phone, post it to Instagram and get 600 likes, and especially if you're just like a popular person online, and you're just like, am I a cool fucking photographer now? And it's like maybe, but
and they don't always, like, people don't always know like what went into that, right? Like it was even even now, like that monk, lots of people didn't know that it was 3 photos put together. They thought it was just one like shot. I've had lots of people like, you took that? Like, how did you time it together, right? And I was like, yeah, I know. That's all just put together afterwards.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of work, right? And it's just so easy to consume. Like, it's consume that, stuff online or on Instagram. Like, you're just seeing this constant scroll of the most amazing photos, that you've ever seen in your life, and it's like, oh yeah, that's amazing. See it, kind of thing. So yeah, you're right. Like, as an artist or someone that is involved in that stuff, a lot of work can go into, even if it's not manipulated, like, into just taking one photograph, right? So yeah.
And so what ended up happening with the innovation show? Innovation Center show?
Yeah. So, man, like, I got skunked a lot by COVID. I went forward, as much as possible. Like, I was like, I don't care that this is going on. Honestly, like, besides to you and, personal conversations, I don't even acknowledge it. Like, I don't acknowledge it online or anything like that. But yeah, it's just like, whatever. We had booked it pre-COVID, but I was like, I'm going to go and put it up and whatever. And I ended up getting it was a good opportunity to have stuff in an amazing space. You helped me with a bit of like video promotion, not a bit, a lot of like video promotion and stuff like that. So it worked out well that way, but the building was closed. They completely shut their doors.
And it was open one day and then it was closed the next.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're opening this week. And then, no, we're not. And yeah, it's just it's a common thread over this past year for a business owner of just like, who the fuck knows what's around the corner?
Dude, look at yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like, I just had a conversation with my parents. I'm like, it's like Florida out here.
It is, bro. I know. I saw some kids jumping on cop cars and shit downtown, and I'm like, where the hell? What's going on downtown?
I was just like, yeah, it's the Wild West, and everything's opened up. They canceled COVID, and then no,
psych,
chuck your mask back on. Yeah. So it was that has been the root of some serious frustration, because I just kept planning shows and stuff like that. Those guys at the Innovation Center, like, they are nice enough. They were like, just kind of leave it in there, stick around for a bit. We're gonna open up eventually, and eventually they did. So it ended up in there for 3 months of it actually being open. But like, as businesses and stuff like that, like, it's been a slow, like, it hasn't come alive that quickly, right? So like, people aren't going into physical businesses and offices and stuff like that anymore. So yeah, it definitely, man, thank you, Lane Merrifield and the guys at the Innovation Center for having me there. It is unfortunate that like this is the world's unpredictable and crazy shit happens, and
it is what it is at the end of the day. Yeah.
So yeah, that would have been, still it was like one of my higher profile shows. I was so stoked on that, and yeah, it kind of got squashed by COVID, and that's been an ongoing like story, like or an ongoing occurrence, I guess, basically. Like, I did stuff. Planned a show. Well, not a show. I did stuff with Kettle River Brewing as well. And I think like even it was like a week into having the stuff there, and they weren't allowed to have indoor dining anymore. So yeah, it got a bit of exposure there. It was on and off. Like, I think it was there for a couple of months. They were having indoor dining, and then they weren't, and so on and so forth. Right. So yeah, it's just been tough to navigate. And then yeah, even recently, put stuff in a yoga studio here just down the street from here.
Bliss Yoga, right?
Yeah, Bliss Yoga Lounge. But they got shut down pretty quickly, like I think a month into having stuff there as well. Man, like these other businesses that have had to deal with this is like, that's tough, man. Like the yoga community, those studios, bars and restaurants and stuff like that, man, that's got to be a struggle, because like I don't have the overhead that those kind of businesses do. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But you did invest your own money into buying those prints and stuff and getting them. So it's like you have overhead. And like it's no.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I'm not and wasn't disappointed and am not now. Like, yeah, it's been tough to navigate for sure. I talk to a lot of different people that are in businesses and stuff like that. There's plenty of people out there that have like this has had almost no effect, and then like people that have just been wiped out completely, and there's a pretty broad spectrum of stuff. But it's been tough, and I feel it even kind of it slowed down some of the online sales and stuff like that too. Like it was
people got less money in their pocket, right? So
yeah, and like it just kind of it fed off each other too, right? Like people saw something going on in the real world, and it was like, oh, that's cool, and it kind of legitimized it being online.
Right.
Whereas if it's just online, it's I find online stuff just kind of a bit stagnant. Like it's not, you can make it as interactive and really. Don't get me wrong. There's really cool stuff happening online, virtual reality and stuff like that.
We'll talk about that in the next segment. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's still it's a virtual world.
Yeah.
It's not the real world, right? And I think
especially like we said, like a print, like especially yours, they're so like it's so physical. It's just it's material. It's it's that kind of work. I think just like it's. Has much more impact in person for sure. And so do you have any other shows lined up right now, or are you looking for space to put your photography up in? Or
yeah, actually I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still going forward like a bull.
Yeah, you see red.
Yeah, pushing forward, man. Yeah, I am. Yeah, if there's anyone out there that has like a space that they feel like I've got a few things like that a few people that I've been talking to, but nothing solidified as of yet. But if there's anyone out there that has a space that would want to showcase the stuff, I'd be open to that. That'd be great.
Hopefully one of my 100 listeners has something that they're down for. So I'm sure, I'm sure there's somebody out there that would love to have it in their space, because it definitely adds to the room, and it's dope fucking work, man.
Cheers. Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah, you said we're going to probably chuck a bit of it up on here.
In the Jordan Powers podcast experience?
Like, no, just you were going to...
Oh, yeah, on the video.
On the video. Or
absolutely, yeah. But if you want to give me one to put up here, I'll take it in a heartbeat.
That's not a bad idea, man. Maybe next... we can talk about that. Yeah, for sure.
This costs one beer.
Yeah, sick, dude. I mean, man, props on this. Like, this is something that you were talking about. While we were, I don't know, it wasn't on lockdown, but like, while we were living together and stuff, and you're getting after it.
Appreciate it.
I think I was telling you before this, like, Justin Venema, I had put a video up on LinkedIn or Facebook or something like that, talking about the success of podcasts or whatever. And I think most people quit after 3. You're like, what, 10?
This is number 10. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't remember what he exactly said, but it's like after 20, you have like, you're pretty much made it. Like if you can get to 21, you're stoked. So
there we go. I made it, Mom. We're here. All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Roll up a spliff and I bounce. Roll up, we rolling it out. With you, I'm wearing the crown. One day I'm making you proud. I love that you fuck with me now, cause you know I keep you around. Yeah, you know that I mean it. Not turning the temperature down. I'm with you when I ain't around. Wanted to get me out.
Yeah.
Shit, so.
For sure.
Yeah, and I was influenced by like Thrasher magazines and like King of the Road, and even just all like the bands that I watched and stuff when it came to like my art and just being inspired by all that shit. But
Yeah.
Doing that. Welcome back from segment 3, Internet People.
Part 3.
You had mentioned we said virtual reality a couple times throughout the podcast, and so
I was trying to push it in that direction. You were checking up on it.
You were trying to steal my segue. Well, it actually does kind of work with everything we've been talking about, because we talked about how important it is to see your art in person in a physical space, and physical spaces and stuff have been limited over the past year and a half. And so do you think the future of galleries and stuff is going to be online in a virtual reality space? And I feel like you're probably one of the most qualified photographers, the only one that I know of that has a virtual reality gallery to their name. So like, you're probably more qualified than most to talk about this.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know how qualified I am. It's I don't know what those stats are at all.
Me neither.
No
Let's make them up.
I'm the only one that I know of
Yeah.
that has one.
No, honestly, I don't know anybody who has a virtual reality gallery, and you have one.
Fair, yeah. Yeah, I do. So do I think the future's going in that way? Man, honestly, I don't know if I should say it. Like, I like real life. I don't I like, you know what I mean? I like the real world. Like, I like a real gallery and stuff like that. Like, I like to see it applied. I don't know. The future, man, like virtual spaces and stuff like that is taking over, obviously, right? I don't know. My personal thoughts on it is like, I don't think it's that healthy as like a human organism, you know? Like,
Well, we're already living in a simulation, Dan. You didn't know?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't figured that out. Or I just don't want to. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to accept it.
I'm just kidding. Well, who knows?
Yeah, I've listened to a lot of conversations about that, and I just tune out. I'm like, I don't know.
I'm here for it. I'm down with it.
Seems pretty real to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I don't know. I like physical spaces. I like organic spaces. There's a reason why I spend so much time out in the woods and stuff like that. Mountain biking. I just that's my jam. But there's definitely, like, I see the opportunities with, you know, virtual spaces and, you know, video game. I was like a pretty big gamer when I was a lot younger and stuff like that. I like that stuff. I had to stop because I got so addicted to it.
Yeah, same.
That's obsessive compulsive again,
Yeah,
too, right?
I can't own a console just
Me
because
neither.
I'm like, yeah.
Me neither. I was like, no. PS4 was the last
Yeah.
one. I'm
Really
out.
shaped my storytelling mindset though, and like
Dude,
you know,
like,
right, like Skyrim
yeah.
and stuff like that. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
whoa, like you just
Yeah.
get so involved in the storyline, and so
What was,
definitely has influence over me for sure. But
Yeah, and like, yeah, just the creativity, like,
Totally.
like what those guys are making in virtual spaces and stuff like that. Like, I would just, so some of those games, like, where you it's like crazy immersive worlds and stuff like that. I'd like finish the level or whatever, and then I just walk around like I don't know why I'm in my head, but yeah.
whoa, dude.
Whoa, look at that statue they built, man. Some guy like computer generated
Yeah.
that, and yeah, that shit's crazy. It's pretty cool. So yeah, there's obviously massive opportunities there. I think where we're going with this is like the online art gallery. I didn't think of this, for one thing. That gallery was not my idea. I happened to have a conversation with somebody that was working for Bandit VR, which is virtual reality company here in town. And
It's a group of students from UBCO, right?
I'm not sure of the background story.
Yeah, I think I met them at one of the pitch things they have through UBCO, and they had it in the Innovation Center. But,
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure they're a group of students.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had like it. I mean, if you want to talk about like virtual working and stuff like that, that's what I did with those guys. Like, it was in the height of COVID. Yeah, I never met them in person.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at all.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The one girl, Janice, I met in person at the Collab downtown, and she made the introduction. She was working for them at the time, and then I worked strictly online with them to like
Wild.
curate. So this is cool. This goes back to the curating of art galleries and stuff like that, but it was a virtual reality one. So they had this idea. They're in the virtual world space, and they saw that everything was closing down, and they're like, we're gonna build online art galleries. You know, and I guess they're pitching it to galleries like, you know, you could be closed down for X amount of time, or even if you're not, like some guy in Switzerland with a ton of money can like sign onto your thing, look in your virtual reality gallery that's like in Whistler, BC, and buy, you know, a $60,000 piece of artwork or something like that online.
You can't travel to the Louvre in France, and like, but you can still put on a pair of goggles and pretty much get a similar experience.
Like I'm yelling,
I don't think you're good. Okay. I'll let you know when I'm edit this.
that's that enthusiasm that I don't usually have. So it was pretty cool. They were like, this is what you're saying, you're qualified? I'm like, I don't know if I am. I curated I curated the Innovation Center, I guess, at that stage. And I think they did like a very similar model to one of the art galleries in town. How is there? Not the Rotary Center, but
just the Kelowna Art Gallery.
Yeah, Kelowna. It might be the Kelowna Art Gallery. It was something very similar to that, and they wanted to work with an artist that could curate it, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm all over it, man. This is sweet, because they were gonna like build it and present it to maybe investors or just people that other like galleries and all that kind of stuff. I knew it would be a good opportunity to get my shit out there virtually, and just get it in front of some people. So I worked with them. They built all the space and the functionality and all that kind of stuff, and just gave me a blank canvas. And
Crazy.
Then, so, you know, this was cool because I didn't actually have to spend any money to like print stuff or anything like that. And
didn't have to physically hang it all up and make sure it's, you know, complements the room. And when's the light coming into the room at this point?
We could almost make it was like, you know, they put lights where I decided to put the artwork and stuff like that, right? So it was cool. There was one, I did this pano on top of a mountain in Pemberton. It was a heli bike drop that we did. Got was it Blackcomb helicopters in Pemberton. I can't remember the name of the mountain off the top of my head. This is why I didn't want to have beers. Anyways, I did this panorama on top of a mountain in Pemberton before we were dropping in on our bikes, and I ended up putting together, it was like a 5-piece pano. It was more than that in the actual photos, but it's massive, and I was able to put it in this gallery across the whole back wall. Like as soon as you walk into it, it's a 5-piece series, and they're virtually printed, like pretty giant. So it was cool to be able to see what that would look like in a space without actually having to spend the money and print it and stuff like that. And then I just curated it pretty similarly to the Innovation Center, only I grouped a couple more like surfing shots and stuff. It was like a pretty substantial space, but they were able to they built this like big kind of description thing, you know, about the artist and stuff like that, and like put lighting underneath the logo and all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty cool.
Well, it's so cool. Like you talk about it almost as if it's like a real physical space. Like it's it's so interesting. And so when you're viewing the art in the gallery, like can you go to your website and just like click through and kind of walk through, or do you have to put a pair of goggles on and like, is it on a certain apps like the Oculus Rift and stuff, or?
So A bit of both. There's currently a link on my website which just links to their website where that they're hosting it. They've been using it as like a walkthrough, like
proof of concept kind of.
Yeah. Like I think it's like an actual selling point. Like it's a virtual tour to,
Right.
This is what your gallery could look like, kind of type deal. You can use it, detects whether you're using virtual reality goggles.
Oh,
I've never
cool.
actually I don't know what it looks like
With the goggles on.
with the goggles.
It seems to be that's the main thing holding virtual reality back is the actual hardware that you need to use it.
Yeah.
Like the masks and stuff like that are still so fucking clunky, and like once you get to a point where it's like tiny glasses or even contact lenses, that's where this shit's gonna fucking blow up.
Yeah. They're rad though, man.
They are.
Have you ever tried them?
I have. I think I ended up punching a wall accidentally when I was wearing one of them. And
You were doing the
messing
boxing
around.
thing?
Yeah. I was in the and tennis also. And
That game, man. I played that boxing game at a friend of mine's house. I'm fucking sweating buckets. Like
the champ's here.
Yeah, totally.
Champ's down.
Lipping people off online and stuff like that. See, that's where I see the potential.
Yeah.
I like to think that I don't want to play that. I'd rather be in the woods, but man, when you chuck those things on, you're trapped.
Totally. Yeah.
It's a good time. Yeah. I don't know. If I had money, I'd probably invest in it, and if I knew that I'd get other stuff done.
Yeah, well, I mean, what a great business to be involved in during this time, because like we said, physical spaces have been limited around the world, and so it seems like there's a push for that, and online streaming and Twitch and gaming and stuff like that. It's only getting bigger every single year, right? So there's obviously a lot going on with that I don't know anything about, but it was cool to and I still, like, every now and then they approach me about a new feature and stuff like that. Like you were asking if it connects, that site actually connects to my Shopify store. I think, I don't know if they did it with every photo, but like there's at least one that you can go in and like click right through to Shopify and purchase if you wanted to, right? So yeah, it's cool. It basically makes this like virtual online store, and this one happens to be an art gallery and stuff, but yeah, pretty cool. And you said that, so you haven't tried it on with the goggles, but like with your phone, you just like bring your phone up and kind of walk through, or?
Yeah, it works on a phone. I've done it on a computer and on a phone. Imagine it's like probably a little more immersive with the goggles, but it's like you said, like not everybody has a set of virtual goggles right now. I mean, man, that will be really cool if you can just chuck on what was the Google ones?
I can't remember the Google ones, but I know Samsung had a pair where it was like you could slide your phone into like the goggles, and then it was kind of like virtual reality, and same thing, it would sense when the phone was in there and you were using it as a virtual reality app. Yeah.
But how cool would it be if they were just like the size of the sunglasses?
Yeah, or contact lenses or something like that. It'd be nuts.
Except you'd have all these people walking around town.
What's crazy is when I was in the automotive industry like 5-6 years ago, I never saw a pair, but my understanding was that the BMW dealership had glasses that they would give their mechanics, and they could be underneath a car, and it would be like boop, like this bolt is like a 14 millimeter bolt or whatever, and so like that was like augmented reality rather than virtual reality, but like so clearly there is some of the technology to have it in like a tiny little pair of glasses. It's just probably just so bloody expensive to create.
Right. And they are like building like a lot of those like it's like simulators and stuff like that, and like even like online training and stuff like that will probably go that direction as well too. So
it'd be wild if you could look at one of your photos in person and then like almost like a live photo on your iPhone, you get like brought into it, and you're like a couple moments before and a couple moments after that photo was taken. That shit would be crazy.
Yeah, like if you could somebody's probably working on something like that.
If not, I'm going to bleep out that whole part, and you and I are having a business conversation right after this.
Yeah, that'd be pretty rad. Like, you could like infuse it with like Google Earth or something like that, almost like, so you're like, or it just takes you to the location right? Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying?
kinda, yeah.
You're like, oh, that beach, and then you just click in, like, I'm gonna go there for a bit, and boom, you're on like the beach, Monty's Beach Lodge in Nicaragua, looking
Yeah.
at the sunset and stuff like that.
Oh, could you imagine? That'd be so crazy.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Wild. So, what's next for you, man? What do you got planned for the rest of the summer and going forward?
Man, yeah, I'm just trying to move forward. Like, I'm just trying to navigate this stuff. I've been doing, like, the last little bit of doing a bit of exploration. I've had to, I mean, even though it seems like things are opening back up and, you know, lots of people, I guess, have been able to, I haven't talked to tons of other photographers and stuff like that. Like, I know you, as far as videographer, were able to keep things going. It's been a slow start back for me. Well, in all those realms, like in the you know, art show realms and stuff like that, and then even the contract photography. So I've been doing a lot of work to, like, just try and instigate work and stuff like that. Some of the stuff has come back. I've fallen back on some of my, like, old design skills and stuff like that. So I've been doing a bit of, like, graphic design and branding and things like that. It's made me, like, think a lot more about, you know, what can I do online, you know, as not just I guess as a backup, but, like, as a fail-safe kind of thing too, right? Like, I mean, I don't think history is not really shown, like these events, the way things are going, it doesn't seem like, you know, it's not going away. Like, it's not going to be, there's not going to be an abrupt end to this. We're going to be navigating this for a while. So, yeah, I'm trying to think about that, you know, like, what can I do that's a little, you know, a little more online, or that I can do from other places in the world, or for, you know, for, like, customers online, I guess, essentially, right? So, but it's tough. Like, you don't want to give up on the stuff that you have been working on, or that you had success with before some of these setbacks, right? Like, it is tough to, like, look at something that you've put so much work into and, like, walk away from it, right?
Totally.
So, I'm gonna keep pushing forward with trying to get my personal artwork out there and stuff like that, and then
Hells yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy the photography end of things stuff, but as well. But I'm happy to, you know, pivot into other things too, like, you know, design work and stuff like that. So
Sweet, man.
Yeah.
Well, shout out where people can find your work, how they can contact you, and your Instagram page and all that. And
sure.
Yeah.
So it's thedanieljones.com.
V or the?
I mean, you say it how you want to say it. THE. DanielJones.com. Everything's off there. My Instagram's off there. My Instagram handle's the same thing, except it has underscores between the and Jones.
So _Dan_Jones
Daniel.
on Instagram.
Yeah,
Daniel.
Yeah, very official. Yeah, all the other stuff is off my website as well too, my email and all that kind of stuff. So
Cool. Well, we'll make sure that that's at the description below, and everybody can reach you and contact you, and hopefully somebody reaches out and gives you a space to put some of your work up in. And yeah, man, it's been a pleasure having you on here, dude. It was tight to catch up, and
yeah, man,
all the best, my man.
Yeah, thanks so much, dude. I appreciate you having me on here, and I wish you all this success with this, man. It's pretty cool.
Thanks, dude. Well, yeah. Thanks for listening to episode 10, people. Catch you on the flip.